Hi guys, this is Tina from Shabby Dabby Doodah. Welcome back to my channel. We are here for another one of our mass making sessions. We're up to week number 283. We are making chipboard tiles today. So if you have got some chipboard, maybe you've got some of these kinds of shapes and things left over, you know, if you did scrapbooking or card making or something like that, then obviously you can use these. If you don't have this kind of chipboard, you could use cereal packets, something like that. Any kind of boxes really will do. If you're using cereal packet and it's not that thick, you can always glue two bits together to kind of like thicken it. But just something that kind of resembles a, you know, thickish kind of chipboard like that. You are then going to need, now I'm going to show you a few different ways to do it, but I'm going to be super lazy this time and I'm going to do lots in this way. So let's just kind of talk through the different options. You can use paint and paint your chipboard. That would be one way to kind of do your chipboard tiles. If you're doing that, you might want to put stamps on your chipboards, you know, that kind of thing. So I've got these ones here. These are from my website shop. So these are my butterfly sets. And this particular butterfly here is absolutely perfect for these chipboard tiles because it's nice and tiny. Obviously, depending on your tile, you could use, you know, any of these. But I think, you know, you're going to want some very tiny kind of stamps. So that's kind of option number one. So, of course, you would then need some, you know, ink to stamp your tiles. So that's option number one. Option number two, and these ones I had actually covered previously, so I will try and remember to do one covering the paper, but yeah, if I don't, then these are some that I had done previously. So basically exactly the same as the painted tiles, except instead of painting, we have used paper and covered the chipboard tile in paper. So that's another option. Now, if I'm doing things like this, I like to use Mod Podge. That's kind of, I find, the best way to get your paper to glue on to chipboard. So that's kind of that. But I'm going to be really, really lazy this time. And what I've done, I've printed a whole bunch of different papers into different sizes. So these ones, I've printed like 4 to a page. And these are going to be just the right size for making into chipboard tiles. I'm not saying everything would be the right size. I mean, some maybe would be too small, some maybe would be too big, but roughly going to use some of these. So again, I will try and remember to tell you the papers that I'm using as I use them. I've done some other ones where I've printed again 4 to a page, taking actual shapes that I'm going to cut out and stick on, for example, like to this. I would stick on a shape. These actually might be too big, to be honest. But that's kind of like, again, using the paper covered. Again, you could use these on the paint covered. But these are going to take you quite a little while because you're going to have to fussy cut out your shapes. So that's why I'm thinking, actually, doing it like this, you're literally going to be, you know, that whole sheet of paper there that you cut out is going to be your whole tile. So they're going to be much, much quicker to actually achieve these. Things like here, I've got my photograph printables. These hopefully are going to be absolutely perfect sizes for like the tiles. So these again, you know, you've got kind of 8 photographs to a page, and I've printed these on the 4 to a page size. So these would be ideal, I think, size for tiles. And yeah, I've printed various different papers there, you know, and we're just going to kind of like see. So again, I would glue those down with the Mod Podge. So with regards to what else you're going to need some scissors, and then depending on how you like to finish your tiles, you might like to have a sanding block. This is like a nail file to tidy your edges up. And then you might like to have some distress ink to be able to kind of like ink around your edges. And then you might like to have something like some gold paint or something if you wanted to edge around the edges of your tiles. You could finish them off with, if you've got any of these really, really titchy pearls. Now, I have to say, I struggle to use these. Can you see the size of those? They are those smallest, like literally like minuscule little pearly bits. I struggle to use these, so I don't know whether I will necessarily use these because, you know, I do find them super fiddly, but I do really like the look of them, so I would like to use those. So I may try and use those on one or two. We'll just kind of see how we get on. And then the other thing that I really love to do, and I will probably do this on all of mine, is I really like to finish them off with glossy accents. Now, again, if you don't have glossy accents, you could use that kind of ultra thick embossing powder. If you've got some of that, that's going to give you the same effect as the glossy accents. Or of course you could use Mod Podge. You're just not going to have such a glossy finish. Even if you use the glossy finish Mod Podge, it's not going to be as glossy as the glossy accents. So it's up to you how you finish them off. And, you know, hey, it will all look fine. So if you've only got, like, say, Mod Podge, or even, you know, this one, which is a matte one, it's still going to look better than not being inked at all. So, or not being, you know, like varnished at all. So play around and see how you get on. Now, the other thing that you might like to do is you might like to have some punches. Now, it will depend how thick your chipboard is as to whether this is going to punch through your chipboard. Now, my chipboard is pretty thick, so I'm confident that this is not going to, yeah, I mean, it's not even going to fit in my punch, let alone punch through it. I could, like, tear it in half, you know, take a top layer off, and then it's more likely to go into my punch. But if you haven't got that, you could use, like, your big shot machine if you've got a, you know, what do you call them? Die cut machine. If you've got something like that, you could make circles and things. Or, of course, you could cut your tiles square. Or, of course, you could, you know, draw around them and cut them around. So perhaps we'll try that. So if I just take, for example, in fact, what I'm going to do, oh, no, yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little circle, oops, here that I like to keep for my, you know, like policy closures. So I could take that and we could just draw around that and then cut around. So I seem to have misplaced my circle punch, so it's, you know, really annoying, to be honest. But yeah, I can always draw around this and cut around. Now, I'm not the best person at cutting out circles, so mine are going to be a bit wonky, but that's where, you know, sanding comes in and all of that kind of stuff. So hopefully they're going to look really nice, even if they're a little bit jaggedy on the edges. Okay, so let's get on and make some of these. Okay, so let's start by doing a painted one. So I'm going to take this one. Now, for the painted ones, I think it's probably best if you can peel the top off of your chipboards, because painting over the glossy surface is possibly going to be, you know, problematic. The other thing that you can do if you didn't want to kind of like peel your glossy surface off, then what you could do is do gesso over there, and that would give that sort of a key. But I'm just going to do that. Okay. Like that. And then what we can do is take our paint. Now, please excuse my, oops, messy painting here. So, oh my goodness, can't even open my paint. Hold on a second. Oh, okay, so I've had to get some different paint because I never could get into that one. So, wow, what a nightmare. Right, okay, so let's use this paint. Really pretty, delicate colour pink. So, just going to, oops. Okay, oops, I think that was the wrong side, yeah. Okay, so just going to paint this. Now, probably could do with doing 2 coats of paint on this. So I will quickly dry this with my heat tool. Obviously, I'm trying to do this quickly because we're doing a video, but yeah, I mean, if I wasn't doing a video, I'd just kind of like paint a whole bunch of these. By the time I've painted the last one, the first one would be dry, you know, that kind of thing. So, but obviously I don't want to be, you know, taking forever when you're watching a video. So I might have to give it 3 coats just to be on the safe side. So, okey-dokey. Yeah, and then just for good measure, let's do a 3rd third coat. Okay, like that. Let's just on the edge. Okie dokie, right, looking good. So, I mean, obviously that's looking a bit lumpy still because, you know, where I've peeled the top layer off and things like that. But it's all fine because that's not going to show up. Once we've done a stamped image on there and once we've Mod Podged it and all of that, it's going to look really good. So let me just get some ink for us to stamp our image. Now, what colour shall I stamp this? Now, yeah, I'm just going to go with black, I think. Actually, no, I'm going to go with, yeah, I think I'll go with that black cherry. No, I'm going to go with the, oh, yeah, I'm going to go with the black cherry. Sorry, decisions there. So we're going to just stamp that with the Stays On. Now, I always like to use Stays On. Obviously, again, up to you, you know, what ink that you like to use best. So let me just get a block. Okay. This is a really nice set of stamps, I have to say. So yeah, really nice. So these are available on my website, and yeah, I know I have mentioned this several times, but yeah, if you're worried about the tariffs and things, then, you know, just want you to know I'm paying the tariffs. So the price that you pay, including the postage price, that's the total price that you pay. So, you know, you're not going to get tariffs at the other end. So, right, let's just check how that comes out. Oh, I don't know whether I like it in that colour. Well, it will be fine because I'm going to obviously ink the tile up. So, but it's a really cute little image, isn't it? Now, okay, oops, there we go. So again, just want to wait for that to dry a minute before I kind of like smoosh it around with some ink. So let me just stamp that off. Right, must look after my stamps. Keep it in the packet because I'm terrible for, take them out, they get lost, you know, floating about, and then no longer have them. Right, okay. So again, I'm going to take my little chipboard tile now. Now I'm going to ink it up. Okay. Oh dear, dropping it now. Like that. Okie dokie. Very cute. And then what I'm going to just quickly do is do a little tiny bit of gold edging. Again, you don't have to do this, but I think this looks quite nice. Actually, I can't help but think bronze would be better for this one. Yeah, thinking the bronze would be better. So I'll just quickly do the bronze instead. So, whoops, got a lot there. Okay, right, now I like to just do this with my finger. So just straight round the edge there, like that. Okay. Just kind of like smoosh that about around the edge, like that. Okay. Right, now what I'm going to do is just quickly dry that with the heat tool again. I mean, obviously it's just really that bronzy colour ink that I'm just drying. Okay, and then all I want to do is glossy accent this. Now, I really should get something very flat, shouldn't I, to keep these on so that I can kind of move them out of the way. So, right. Okay. Let's move this out the side, not to the side. Right, I'm just going to put a sheet of this onto here so as I don't damage the little box there. Okay, right, now let's get my glossy accents now. Just going to, yeah, just rub this down. Okie dokie. Okay, so literally want to just cover this with the glossy accents. Oops. And I'm just doing it on the here so that I can move it out the way. So I'm going to just clear a space here so that I can just move these as I do them. I can just move this out the way. But obviously we're going to be doing these assembly lines. So what I will actually do is I will just glossy accent a whole bunch all at the same time, sort of towards the end. So take your glossy accents and literally just go around there. Now this is like self-leveling, so you know, touch wood, it's gonna spread about. But I quite like to give this a bit of a helping hand if it's looking like it's not sort of reaching everywhere. And I just use my finger to do that. So yeah, you can roll it around a bit like that. That's another good way to do it. But failing that, I just kind of rub it in with my finger. There's a bit of an air bubble, so just put my finger there. That's it. Just, yeah. Oh, got another air bubble. I'm not great with a brush, so I find it definitely easiest to use my finger. But again, you know, we've all got our own kind of methods, haven't we? So if you find it better with a brush, then, you know, stick with a brush. There we go. So I'm going to put that to one side. Just clean that little dab of glossy accents off the desk. Okie dokie. Right. So long-winded version there was the painting and the stamping. So another alternative that you can do is obviously very similar, but just cover your paper with, or cover your piece with paper, cover your chipboard piece with paper, and then stamp onto there. So in fact, I shouldn't have put my stamps away. You're just going to get a stamp here. I'll use the same stamp again. Okie dokie. Just going to go with the black this time. I maybe have got like a purpley colour actually. Let me just see. Nope. I'm pretty sure that I have somewhere, but oops, I can't see it now. So I'm just going to use the black. Okay. Oh, come on. Sorry, they're all piled up here. Oh, I have got this. So the vibrant violet, let's use that and see how that looks, because the paper obviously is this nice purpley colour. Okie dokie. Again, just going to bring this in. Okay, that's going to look really nice on there. Okay, so I've got this one. I'm just going to stamp that there. Like that. So again, you can probably see it's a little bit tatty around the edges. So I'm going to tidy that up a bit with that nail file. Now, this one's just one of those chunky nail files. Obviously, if you don't have one of these, that's fine. You know, you could use some sandpaper. You could use just a normal nail file. I mean, these ones, they're just really, yeah, really good. I have to say, I bought them, like, I think during lockdown. Unfortunately, I have lost most of them. I think I probably lost them when I moved, you know, craft rooms. And, yeah, I haven't found them since. So this is my last one. So I might need to order some more. Don't use them very often, but when I do, I'm like, oh, they're really good. There we go. Okay, so for this one, I'm not going to bother with the gold paint. Actually, I'm going to. Yeah, I am going to. So again, just going to ink that up around the edge. Like that. Okey-dokey. Looks really nice like that. And then, yeah, let's put some gold paint on this. Okay. Oops. Like that. Looking good. Again, just going to quickly dry that gold. Let's put this away before I lose my butterfly. Okie dokie. Oh, so terrible, honestly. It's not looking after stamps. So, right, get my heat tool, quickly dry that off. Okay, like that. And again, just now glossy accent over that. Or of course, like I say, you could Mod Podge, or you could use that, you know, embossing powder stuff. Okay, so just go around there. Like that. And then just, again, pick that up now. Oops, smoosh that. Ooh, smoosh it around. Oh my goodness. See, I have way too much on there. I haven't used glossy accents for ages, so in fact probably since the last time I did this. So obviously a bit out of practice. There we go. And again, just leave that to dry. That's the point where if you wanted to use like some little pearls or anything like that, that's where you would put them on. So you just literally drop them in now onto the tile. Either then glossy accent over them, or you could drop them in now onto the glossy accents, if you see what I mean. So, you know, up to you. Right, lazy way now, which I'm hoping is going to be like the preferred method. So I've got these sheets here. Okay, now I'm thinking these are going to be easiest to cut out first. You could glue the whole thing down, like if you had a big enough chipboard piece, like for example, if you were using, you know, a cereal box, you could glue the whole thing down and then cut it out. I'm thinking personally that's going to then be problematic when you come to cut it out, because if it's quite thick, you know, like where you kind of like then are cutting on quite thick card, it possibly is not going to cut very neatly. So I'm thinking better probably to cut them out into your individual pieces. So like for this, I'm not going to be using all of the pieces for the tiles, but just some of them. So take the pieces that I want to use. Now this is from my vintage desk set 5. So take the pieces that I want to use, cut them to size, like that. And then just glue them straight down in the size that I want them. Now, I haven't actually tried making tiles out of this type of stuff before, so, you know, I might find that actually this is not going to be as great as I think, but I think this is going to work really, really well. You know, what a really great lazy way to make the tiles. So, yeah, fingers crossed. Obviously, some of the images are going to work better than others. You know, you're going to end up with some really lovely ones. You know, some you might kind of think, well, actually, that doesn't look great. But, yeah, hopefully, you know, if you pick carefully the papers and the images, then hopefully you're going to get some really lovely ones. I mean, the photographs that we just mentioned, they're going to work really, really well. So, you know, if you've got some photograph printables or anything, they're going to work really well. Okie dokie. Like that. Okay. Let's take this one. So this is my vintage desk set. I think this is set 4. Again, you would have to check. But yeah, I think it's set 4. So again, you're going to end up with some really lovely different sort of images here. Okay. You know, and lots of these, they're really kind of vintage looking, so they're going to be really, really nice as little tiles, to be honest. So yeah, I tried to pick carefully when I was deciding which papers to use as the, you know, as the tiles. I've tried to choose carefully what I think is really going to work really well. Obviously I haven't made them like this before, so you know, your guess is as good as mine whether I've picked the right bunch or whether I'll be like, oh no, that looks rubbish. But fingers crossed it will be, you know, a good selection. So I'm not going to use any of these. I mean, that would make an okay tile, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I could do that, and then actually I could probably just stick something on there. You know, I mean, I could leave it as it is, but I think probably I would then put something over that, more like a sort of background image. So that's those. Then I also did these ones from my the ladies printable. I can't remember now what that's actually called, but again I thought they would really be nice tiles, so I've got a bunch of those. And again, different variety of sizes, so some, you know, here might be too small, but some are going to be just right. What was I going to say about these? So this is printed on just 120 GSM paper, so I haven't printed this on thick paper or anything like that. It's, you know, reasonably thin type paper, so I think that's probably best for making these. But again, you know, experiment and see what you find best. You might find if you're using, say, like cereal packet where it's not that thick, if you printed these on thicker paper, then that's going to act to thicken up your cereal packet, if you see what I mean. So, you know, it might depend on the thickness of the chipboard that you're using. That might kind of decide or help you decipher what thickness to have your you know, your pieces that you're putting on. Okay, let's take some from here now. Now these, obviously, it's going to be so easy because all we're going to do is literally stick this straight onto the chipboard. Now, I will just say I'm going to probably sand the chipboard down slightly so as it's got a bit of a key for it to actually glue to. But yeah, aside from that, we're just going to Mod Podge it straight to the chipboard, and then all we're going to do, sand it down a little bit around the edges, ink it up, you know, maybe add some gold to the edge, or maybe add some pearls, you know, if we decide that it looks like it would be pretty with pearls, and that will be literally it. So we're just gonna, yeah, kind of like keep these really basic. And like I say, I mean, this is going to be like the easiest chipboard tiles ever. Okay. And then I'm also going to do one with this one, where we use like a sort of piece as a background page to put some, you know, decorative piece on. So, you know, like where we stamped a centerpiece, we'll use that to, maybe I won't have that rosebud, well, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, this might be weird, but let's just see. Okay, I mean, this is not great because obviously this isn't really a piece that I'd kind of, you know, put on there for fussy cutting, but we'll see how this looks. If it looks really tatty and I've made a complete, you know, pig's ear of cutting it out, obviously I won't use it, but it's worth a try, isn't it? So, okay. Well, we'll see how that, oops, we'll see how that one looks. It's just, oh my goodness, get rid of that. Okay, gonna get rid of the rest because they were a bit too small to use. Let's just use, just so we've got like some different looks here going on. So also did my fashion plates printables because I thought they also would make very nice tiles. So yeah, again, some might be too small, so we'll just use the ones that we think are okay size wise. Okay. Oh, do you know what? I actually can't wait to have all these chipboards ready made, because I'd sort of come to the end really of my chipboards, and what happens then is I become really stingy and I sort of stop using them because it's like, oh, I've hardly got any left. So yeah, this is going to be really nice to have like a whole bunch again, like replenish my stocks. This one I could maybe cut out and use as a sort of topper. I don't know whether that will be like too small, but we'll see. Not making a very good job of cutting her out. She's like really tiny. She might resemble nothing by the time she's cut out. She's okay. She's not too bad. So yeah. Then I've got quite a few like roses here. This is from my vintage desk. Set 3 maybe. So the roses are always going to make lovely, you know, lovely tiles. So yeah, let's just take a few of those. It's really annoying that I've mislaid my you know, circle punch, because obviously that makes lovely tiles when they're round. Yeah, very annoying. So but you know, it is what it is. Okay. And then the other thing that I've also got, oops, is some of my shoe printables here, which again thought these would be lovely. Oh, I've got these images as well from the vintage desk set 2. They would also be really good on here. So again, just gonna, let's cut around. Oh gosh, making such a poor job of cutting this. I mean, wow. Oh my goodness, this is so fiddly. Yeah, I mean, not my favourite thing, cutting out really, really tiny images. It's got to be said. But hey, it's just... Which is partly why I thought, oh, let's go for a really lazy option and do it, you know, with things that are going to be, you know, like the background paper and the focal point all in one go. You know, because then there's not really all this element of fussy cutting and things. So, okay, right. Not made a great job, but it's okay. And then I've got the shoes. So again, just cut that out. Now, what makes these worse, cutting these out when they're really tiny like this, is because I've done them on flimsy paper. If I'd done these on thicker paper, they would be sort of easier to cut out because the paper would be you know, robust and sort of holding its shape. This is unfortunately sort of like folding in as I'm cutting it. So yeah, it's not ideal, but it's okay. Right. Oh, come on. Okay. Right, not made a great job, but it will do. So let's now just quickly gonna just, you know, make a bit of a key on my chipboard. Okay, we're going to kind of like mass make these, so I'm going to sort of rub down all my chipboards together. This one obviously a regular size or shape, but hopefully I'll get a couple of pieces stuck on here, so, you know, I didn't want to not use it, because I thought, oh, that will, you know, that will still work. Okay. So yeah, let's just kind of relax now, have a nice time, have a catch up. So I hope everybody is doing well. I hope you've all had a good week. For anyone who watches my channel, you'll know that I generally film these on a Monday to go up for you guys on the Tuesday. So yep, my week's only just started. Just want to say a massive thank you to anybody who's placed an order either on my physical shop or on my Etsy website. I really do appreciate that. I was running a Black Friday sale. Now I've decided to extend it until the weekend, because I've got a new printable that I will be putting in at some point this week, but I haven't had a chance to do it yet. So didn't want to kind of, you know, put it in after the Black Friday's ended. So it's this gorgeous printable here. Yeah, I can't remember what I'm going to be calling this yet, but I've finished it. I just need to do like the thumbnails and all of that kind of stuff. And it's like vintage adverts. Now there's actually two sets, because one is like a sort of more neutrals and browns, and one is a sort of more pinks and blues. So yeah, there's kind of like two. So I'm going to extend my Black Friday offer, which is 30% off, which is, you know, pretty good offer. That's if you spend $20 or more. So 30% off if you spend $20 or more. You don't need a code or anything. It comes off automatically. And yeah, like I say, I'm going to extend it until the weekend, because I don't want anybody to kind of like miss out. You know, if you wanted to purchase the new printable when I put it in, which hopefully will be Wednesday or Thursday, you know, I want you to be able to obviously make use of the offer. Okay. But yeah, thank you so much to anyone who's also placed an order on my physical shabbydabbydoodah.co.uk website. I really do appreciate that. So really, yeah, really good of you. Thank you. I hope everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving. So now for these, I'm going to try and be like really efficient and get as many out of something as I can as possible. So like there, I can get obviously two, whereas if I'd used like say that one, maybe I would only be able to get one. So I'm going to just lay out all of my potential tiles along the pieces. So yeah, like that. Okay, and then I can do them. Now I've also actually, I forgot to sand down these circles, but I've also got these circles. So the circle ones, maybe I will use a couple of others. So maybe I might be able to use something from my new set. I'm not sure. Let's do a couple of the circles. So let's just bring this one back in. Oh yeah, might be able to do that one. So just going to take this one down. Okay. So again, this one, don't forget, I'd cut this, or printed this, sorry, onto the 4 to a page size. So yeah, 4 to a page. That just seemed to work brilliantly. So yeah, and what I'll do, when I glue this down, I'm going to hold it up to the light so that I can kind of see through and judge exactly where that needs to go. So yeah, that one. And let's just see. Maybe this one. yeah, maybe that one. I'll just cut that down there. Okay. Now, what was I saying? Oh, I've no idea. Anyway, so yeah, I hope everybody had a lovely Thanksgiving. We don't really celebrate Thanksgiving over in the UK. I know I have said that before. Yeah, it's a shame. I wish we did, you know, because, you know, it's nice having those reasons, or extra reasons, isn't it, to get together, like with loved ones and things, and, you know, spend some quality time together, maybe have like a nice family meal and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I wish that we did, but yeah, unfortunately we don't. What have I been up to? Well, what have I been up to? Well, I finished watching, well, I say I finished watching, I haven't quite finished watching it. I was watching last week Mr. Mercedes, and I know I talked about this. And I did say, didn't I, that to be honest, it kind of like is dragging on, really. They could have done with stopping it after like the first season, really. So yeah, I'm still persevering with it. It's dragging on quite a lot, really. Definitely, yeah, kind of not really great now. All a bit weird. It's got a bit weird and a bit far-fetched. I mean, it was quite far-fetched in the first place, but yeah, it's got really kind of like far-fetched now. But I have, you know, I have enjoyed it, and I love, absolutely love, just having something to pop on that I don't have to think, oh, what shall I watch? You know, it's just really great, like thinking, oh, you know, I'm watching that. So yeah, just not having to think about what to put on. So from that perspective, I'm loving watching it. And I love the fact that there's so many to watch. You know, it's really been a good sort of binge watch. But yeah, definitely they could have done with like stopping it. Really, after season 1, I think would have been plenty. Yeah, but I mean, I would recommend it. It's been quite good. So yeah, right, this one I'm going to do on here, and I'm going to put, yeah, I'm going to put the rose on here. I think would look quite nice. Okay, now this one, oops, just got another circle here. Okay, don't know. Yeah, can just about get that on there. Okay, and then this one. And that's going to be quite a big tile, to be honest, but yeah, maybe it's a bit too big. Oh, let's have that one. I'm not being very efficient there. I'm not really making the most of that one. Don't feel like I'm going to get the best out of this one, to be honest. So yeah, might just have to be extravagant on this one. Oh, well, actually, I might have these couple because they're quite small. I might be able to get one there, and then yeah, maybe get two on there like that. Yeah. Now these, maybe I should have my shoe. I don't know, that's not looking great on there, is it? Yeah, I wanted to have the shoe and the boot, but not really left myself some nice decorative paper. So I have got some other paper laying around. So yep, let me pull in a bit of scrap paper. Just see. Oh, I probably haven't really got anything that's, you know, ideal and going to sort of really go, but oh my goodness, how nice does that look? So yeah, now are we going to get away with, no, way too small. Okay, let's just take this one again, just going to sand that down. Okay. Also went to the cinema with my son. So we went on Wednesday and we watched Nuremberg. Now, I have to say, wow, it was so good. So, yeah, it was with Russell Crowe. Now, I'm going to cut this down roughly kind of like to size. just so I can sort of like get two things on here. Yeah, it was with Russell Crowe. Oh my goodness, he played that part so well. So he played the part of, is it Hermann Göring? He was like Hitler's second in command, and obviously it was about the Nuremberg trials. Wow, it was just, I mean, it was a grueling watch, you know, yeah, a hard watch, but my goodness, it was very, very, very good. You know, the acting was superb, and yeah, really, really good. I think what was really shocking was, you know, the trial, and I have seen clips of the trial before, like online, because, you know, some of it is online. But obviously it's black and white, you know, it's obviously it's old footage. So yeah, obviously it's, right, let me just going to clean my brush off just with my wipe here. So yeah, I have seen bits of it before, but obviously the clips that I've seen, they're, you know, they're black and white because obviously they're old bits of footage. And let's try this one. Yeah, so watching it in colour, you know, as in you know, a film, it was so noticeable that all the you know, the people on trial, they were all in their you know, their Nazi outfits, which was just kind of like shocking to see, really, because, you know, they obviously still looked very official and formal, and, you know, sort of like in the terms of like their uniforms, they were sort of like very commanding respect still, and sort of authority and all that kind of thing. And when you think, you know, what they were actually on trial for was pretty shocking, to be honest, you know. And you'd like to think that, you know, in this day and age, if anyone was on trial for that horrendous crimes, that they would have been in their you know, like prison issue overalls, you know, because it was very, very shocking to see, you know, and actually pretty disrespectful, I think, to all the victims, that those people on trial for such absolutely heinous crimes, you know, that they were still able to then be, you know, trotted out in their sort of, yeah, their military uniforms, you know, because they, well, they just sort of still looked very much like the parts that they were, you know, that they were playing. Which, I mean, I just found that pretty horrendous, to be honest. And, yeah, like, in the sort of footage that you see, you know, online of the real trial, I'd never really noticed it. I'm not saying I hadn't noticed it, but it wasn't quite so apparent as in that film, because it was in black and white. So seeing it in the flesh, you know, seeing it in colour, I found it really very shocking. You know, and just very, very disrespectful that they were still, you know, dressed in all their refinery, sort of looking like, you know, very much a sort of respected figure, and, you know, somebody who sort of was worthy and deserved the respect of their ranks or, you know, positions. So yeah, I found that really quite shocking. And like I say, I mean, you'd certainly like to think that in this day and age that would not be the case, you know, that they would be wearing their prison sort of issued clothes. But yeah, anyway, quite shocking, but very, very good film. Yeah, very worth watching. You know, like I say, I mean, obviously it wasn't a feel-good film, you know, it was pretty horrendous, but yeah, very good, and very good acting. Russell Crowe, I don't know how old he is. I mean, he'd obviously, you know, he looked a lot older. I mean, I don't know how old he is, but yeah, I mean, obviously he probably is older. And I don't know whether, right, I'm going to just hold this up to the light so that I hopefully get the circle in sort of the right place. Okay, fingers crossed. Yeah, I don't know whether he'd put on weight for the role, or whether perhaps he's put on weight anyway, but he was a lot bigger than I've ever seen him before. But yeah, that might be the role that he was playing. Perhaps he needed to kind of like put on weight, I don't know. But he was very, very good in it. I mean, funnily enough, at first, kind of unrecognisable. He was in a film called The Next 3 Days, quite a long time ago now. And it's such a brilliant film. Absolutely brilliant. One of my best films, probably. Yeah, I've watched it loads and loads of times. But yes, such a good film. It's full of like tense moments, you know, or intense moments, you know, where you're like, oh my goodness, you know, oh. I don't want to say what happens in it really, but yeah, it's this chap who his wife gets put in prison for murder. It's not a true story or anything like that, but he then is trying to help her escape. So that's all I'm going to say. It's such a good film. If you've not seen it, 100% would recommend watching it. It's absolutely brilliant. And like I say, it's kind of like on the edge of your seat for half the film. You're like, oh my goodness, that was such a close shave. You know, really, really, really good film. So yeah, definitely worth a watch. It did used to be on Netflix. I don't know whether it's still on there now. But it might be on Prime or, you know, vice versa. So yeah, really, really good film. And it's got, what's the lady's name? She's like really very pretty lady in loads of things. I feel like her name might be, I feel like it might be Elizabeth something, but anyway. Yeah, really, really good film. So if that's still on, you know, anywhere, Next 3 Days, The Next 3 Days it's called. Definitely worth a watch. Yeah, really, really good film. So that was kind of probably the first film that I'd ever really seen Russell Crowe in that I really enjoyed, because previously he was kind of like Gladiator and all of that. And I know I've talked about this before, but I can't watch Gladiator. I have tried now a few times, but wow, yeah, it's just not the film for me. You know, I appreciate that it's really a very good film, and obviously loads of people really love it, but it's just not a film that I kind of, you know, couldn't get into. Yeah, so I hadn't really kind of like enjoyed watching films that he was in. You know, I think because probably that sort of put me off. I thought, oh, he's one of those kind of blokey film type actors. But yeah, really, really good film. And he plays such a nice man in that Next 3 Days. You know, he's such a lovely man, and you just think, oh, you would love to have a husband like him. He's so nice. So, yeah, really good film. And then also this weekend, it was Wicked, wasn't it? Wicked 2 came out. Now, I have to say, my son did go and see this. He went to see it yesterday with his friend. I haven't seen it yet because, weirdly, my daughter doesn't want to go and see it. She doesn't really like watching films, so she was like, no, I don't want to go. So, yeah, my son was like, well, I'm already going out the weekend with my friends. So, it's like, oh. So, yep, I haven't seen it. And, yeah, I don't know whether I'll bother, because actually my son, who really liked Wicked 1, he said actually he wasn't, you know, he said it was nowhere near as good. So maybe I won't even, yeah, I won't even bother going to see it. I don't know. But, yeah. Don't know what's on this week. I haven't actually looked to see what's on, but might be that that's all that's on now. You know, maybe now another dry spell at the cinema, who knows. Right, there we go. And of course now we're hurtling towards December. Before we know it, it's going to be December. So, yep. I know I say all the time, but clearly I have not started my Christmas shopping because I'm a bit of a last minute type of person. So yeah, this is me every year, not started my Christmas shopping. But I do quite like the whole, you know, last minute rush thing. I know that's not really for everybody, but yeah, I quite like that whole, oh my goodness, last minute. So yeah, lucky I like it, because that's that's how I operate. Oh dear. Okay. Oops. Right, there we go. Yeah, these are very, very easy, you know, using things that have already got the images on them. So yeah, I would recommend this. I'm deciding, or I've decided not to use that green as the background for that shoe. So that's still on screen. I'm not going to use that after all. I'm not loving that. It keeps catching my eye. And although I was at first like, oh, I love a bit of purple and green. Yeah, I don't think that's probably the best look that I could achieve with that. So yeah, I'm not going to. Let's quickly do these. So let's put the pink one on. Okay. That. Oh, and to everyone who wished Bo, you know, well, and hope that she got better. So yeah, I took her to the vets in the end, because she was still, you know, not too well on Tuesday. I thought she'd kind of improved on the Monday, and then actually, right, I'm going to quickly swap this piece of paper. Yeah, then actually on the Tuesday, I thought, well, actually she's not really any better. So yeah, I took her to the vets on the Tuesday. So, oh, I was so proud of her. She was such a good girl. Right, let's just see how this would look on any of this. Oh, that's quite nice, isn't it? So, yeah, I took her on the Tuesday. Right, let's just place that there. Okay. Yeah, took her on the Tuesday. So proud of her. Like, honestly, the vet was like, oh, she's such a good girl. She's, you know, so polite for a dachshund. You know, she's not barky or anything like that. Now, normally, Bo is like the barkiest girl on the planet. So, yeah, I don't know whether it's just, you know, I said, oh, I think you've just got such a lovely way with you. You know, she's really kind of like, you know, she knows she's in good hands, and she feels really like she trusts you, and kind of, you know, she's not needing to be barky. Or she was feeling really so poorly that, you know, or so rubbish that she didn't want to be barking. I'm not sure which. But anyway, so yeah, took her to the vets. I mean, they had to obviously stick the thermometer up her bum. You know, she, poor thing, you know, did not have a nice time. And oh, just, you feel so awful, don't you? You know, because they trust you so much. And obviously she was just looking at my face, and I was like holding her little face in my hands, like saying, oh, I love you, you know, you good girl. And yeah, she was obviously like, what are you doing? Why have you brought me here? But joking aside, she wasn't really saying that. I think, you know, they trust you, and they're kind of like, oh, I realise that, you know, I'm not feeling well, and you've brought me here to get better. You know, they literally, they're so clever. They know that, don't they? So that was how I kind of felt, really, was that she knew I'd taken her there to get her better. And so that's why she was such a good girl. But yeah, anyway. So they weren't sure, really. You know, the upshot was they weren't really too sure. They said it could be like a uterine infection. Because obviously she'd just finished her season. So it could have been that. Or it... Oh, I'll scrape some paper off of there. What an idiot. Could have been that. It could have been they like pulled her back legs back, and they said there was some resistance there with her back leg, left back leg. So they said it could be, you know, something to do with her left back leg, like maybe she had like pulled a muscle or something, you know, hurt it. So could have been that. Oh look, I'm dabbing bits off of there all the time. Yeah, so it could have been that, or it could be, you know, hopefully not, but could have been her back, which obviously dachshunds, you know, they have that vulnerability of their backs. So yeah, they said they couldn't really tell. They said hopefully not her back, because she seemed to be walking quite well. Right, again, just just going to hold this up to the light, just so that I can, sorry, I've just jogged the phone, just so that I can try and gauge that into the right place. Yeah, so hopefully not her back, but you know, there is always that possibility, because especially she's a dachshund and they've got that vulnerability. But fingers crossed, hopefully not her back. So they gave her some anti-inflammatory, like with painkiller, and she's been having that every day, you know, like in her food, just once a day. So hopefully she's now on the mend. Touch wood, she seems back to her old self. Yeah, I mean, I just pray that it, you know, hopefully was just maybe she had sprained her, you know, her back leg, or maybe it was the uterine infection. Either way, hopefully it's kind of like now done, you know, whatever it was, or whichever of those it was. So yeah, fingers crossed. But thank you so much to everyone who like sent her their best wishes. You know, it's so horrible. I really just, you know, hate it when there's anything wrong with her, because you just love them so much, you know. And obviously they can't tell you what's wrong, you know, and it just breaks your heart, sort of like seeing them just, you know, they must be confused, mustn't they, and kind of like thinking, oh, what's wrong, you know, why aren't I feeling myself? Yeah, it's just really horrible. So fingers crossed she's now on the mend. Really hope that she's on the mend. So there we go. Yeah, she definitely has seemed a lot more herself, so fingers crossed. What else have I been up to? Well, nothing really. So at the weekend, I just literally worked the whole weekend. So yesterday, I didn't put down my stuff until 7:20. And to be fair, I only really put it down then because Bo was kind of like making a fuss, you know, where I'd like ignored her sort of all day. She just wanted some attention. She was like, oh, come on, Mum, you know, you've ignored me all day now. Just holding that to the light again. Yeah, so my son had gone out, you know, that was when he was going to see Wicked. So he'd gone out for like the whole day with his friends. So he'd been gone. My daughter had been on a sleepover on Saturday, so didn't get back until sort of later. Or sorry, didn't get back until Sunday. And I said to her, you know, do you want to do anything? Like, should we go anywhere? You know, did you want to take Bo out, like to Costa and get her a pup cup or anything like that? No, she didn't want to do anything. So sometimes she's like that, you know, like if she's not been at home for, you know, just one night, she doesn't want to then kind of like venture out. She's a bit of a home bird. We're all a bit home birds, really. So yeah, she didn't want to do anything. So we didn't do anything. So literally, I got up, I started work at like 7:30, and I worked till like 7:20 last night. So yeah, that was it. And I'd worked all day on Saturday as well because she was at a sleepover. So yeah, I'd worked all day on Saturday as well. I didn't really leave the house. And funny enough, this morning, saw, you know, a friend from the gym, and he said about, oh, it was a lovely day yesterday, wasn't it? And I said, you know, I didn't actually go out of the house. And actually, to the point, I don't even recall glancing up. I must have not even glanced up from my desk particularly, hardly at all, because I couldn't even tell you what the weather looked like, you know, whether it was nice or not. So yeah, evidently I'd missed out on what was really quite nice weather. So that's a bit of a shame, but right, here's the moment of truth. Let's hope that I haven't just wasted all that time gluing these down to find that really they look rubbish and didn't make really great tiles at all. Right, now this is obviously a circle, so you know, not my best work. So just going to sand down around the edge, which is just going to make my, you know, shoddy cutting a little bit more acceptable, or a little bit less noticeable. So yeah. Oh my goodness, how gorgeous is that? So yeah, brilliant way to do tiles. Use a you know, an image that's already looking good, you know, already got something on there as like a topper piece, and then that's, yeah, going to work really well. It's going to just speed up the whole process of making the tiles. So this one, obviously this is one of those from the vintage desk. Oops, I think this was the vintage desk set 5, I think. So just cut that down. Okay, and then just, yeah. Now this is where as well I say that, you know, the Mod Podge really works best, is because if I glued this, I mean, I could have used a brush and put the glue on, you know, with a brush, and then it would have got in everywhere, but I find that the Mod Podge is just like the strongest kind of glue. It's, yeah, I find it really, really good. How lovely does that look? So just going to now show you, oh, actually, let's just cut out one of those with the shoes. Yep. Okay. Okay. Like that. Okie dokie. Oops. Let's just quickly sand this one down. I think the sanding does kind of make quite a difference, to be honest. I mean, when you compare like just those top corners, you know, and top edges, to then the sanded edges, they look 100% better once you know, sand them down, because also you can go round those corners. I'm not saying rounding the corners, but getting a bit more of a sort of yeah, a bit of a sort of rounded finish to the corner like that. So yeah, they're really nice, aren't they? Now, oops, I'm just going to do this one as well. Oh no, see, I want to do all of them because actually they're all really nice. So yeah, I will finish these obviously after the video, but obviously I'm aware that I've been filming for quite a while, so you know, probably pretty boring for you guys to just see them all being finished, but I feel like they're all going to look quite different, so yeah. Okie dokie. Now, this is where I say about the pearls. Okay, so I'm going to ink these up a little bit, and then I'm going to try and put some pearls on. So let's just ink that up. I mean, how gorgeous does that look? Absolutely lovely. This one. Okay, and this one. Okie dokie, and then, oops, finally this one. Okay, right, now, where did I put them? Here we go. Right, definitely going to struggle doing this because this is like really fiddly. These are absolutely titchy, and I would normally use my little pokey tool. Let me see if I can see it anywhere. Hold on a minute. Okay, so I've got my little pokey tool now. I don't know whether this is going to make this any easier really, but I'm going to take some glue and I'm going to just pop the pearls down here. Now, I like to glue them on because although they have got the self-adhesive, you know, backing, I don't really fully trust that. So I'm just going to like put a little row of glue on there. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a nightmare. Look, can't even get it on here. Okay, right. First one. Okay, next one. Like that. Oh, come on. And then the third one. I mean, seriously, this is like really my idea of a nightmare. Like that. Now I'm just going to dab them. I'm going to dab it with this. Okay, so I'm just dabbing out the glue, and then I'm just going to take my pokey tool and sort of straighten them up a little bit, like that. Okay, so can you see there now I've got that little row of pearls. So, I mean, actually they weren't that terrible to put on, but yeah, definitely not my favourite thing to do. Just pop a little bit there. Now, do I want to have the edging on this? Just going to mix a bit of that together. Okay, just a little tiny bit. Just around there. There we go, like that. And then I will glossy accent, and what I'll do, I just pour the glossy accents all over, and it will just be, you know, all over the pearls as well. They'll be like really set in there, and yeah, kind of works really well then. So I'm going to just quickly finish off all of these by just, you know, doing little bits and pieces. So yeah, maybe like if they need some edging, edging, pop some edging on. If, you know, if I think they need the pearls, then maybe put some pearls on, although I've only got like literally about, I think, 12 left. So yeah, I won't really get many of those done. And then I will, you know, obviously, like I say, glossy accent all of them at the same time. But really, really cute little chipboard tiles. Now, once you've done them all, you can then you know, punch holes through them. I mean, depending on the size, depending on the size of them, you could maybe put eyelets and things on them. So, you know, you could have them as hanging bits with like a bulb pin, or of course you could have them as like flat things stuck down. But yeah, they're really kind of like quite a versatile little piece, aren't they? So let me just go around there. Okie dokie. Yeah, definitely. This is like the way quickest way to make them that I've ever done. So yeah, definitely I would recommend this as a little method for doing them. So we've done quite a few, but like I say, I've got to now obviously finish them off, and yeah. But I hope you feel inspired by them, and yeah, hope that you have fun if you decide to do some of your own. And yeah, let me know how you get on. Let me know how many that you do. We've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, obviously they do all need finishing, but 6, 7, 8, 9. Ooh, that one's not anything. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So we've done 21, and I've got loads of bits still cut out ready, so I can do some more. So yeah, let me know what you think, and yeah, hope you have fun doing them. And yep, don't forget, oh dear, oh my gosh, now look, I've mucked up that completely. Right, 19 now. Yep. now back down to 19, as I've now spoiled this, but oh well, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah. Don't forget that I am extending my Black Friday sale on my Etsy shop, so if you wanted anything over there, then you know, now's maybe the time. And yep, keep your eyes peeled for my new printables. There's 2 of them, like I say, they're the ads papers. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and really appreciate a big thumbs up to this video. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate you subscribing. So thanks so much then. Bye.